Welcome to CrashMagic. In today's video we've got another fantastic self-working card trick. In this one, totally unseen by the magician, a spectator is going to deal a shuffled pack of cards into a number of piles of their own choice. Select a card, reassemble and cut the pack. Despite all this, the magician is then going to incredibly tell the spectator the position of their card. We'll start by seeing how all this might look to a spectator, and then immediately after, if you like the look of it, you can learn it and a few variations in the tutorial. In a second, I'm going to turn away and ask you to deal these cards into piles as if you were dealing hands of poker. You can deal any amount of hands from 5 to 10. Start by dealing the first card to pile 1 on the left, then the next card to pile 2, and so on. So at this point, as the magician, I would now turn away so I couldn't see anything that was about to happen. The spectator would then start dealing 5 to 10 hands of cards. Let's say they choose to deal 6 piles. So they would deal the cards down like this and continue all the way through the pack. Nearly there now. Just the last few remaining cards. And once they were finished, I'd then ask the spectator to take the last pile on the right and to mix these cards up. And once they were done, to look at and remember the bottom card. So in this case they'd remember the 6 of diamonds. Then I'd ask them to take this pile and place it on top of the previous pile, pick this pile up and place it on the previous pile, and so on until all the piles had been picked up. And finally I'd ask them to cut the cards somewhere near the middle and to complete the cut. Only at this point would I then turn back around, having not seen the card they selected, or how many piles they'd dealt, or whereabouts they had cut the cards. I'm now going to look through the cards to see if somehow I can get some sort of sense as to which card you might have chosen. Okay, not really getting any strong thoughts at the moment. Definitely wouldn't be confident in taking a punt. No, I'm not at all sure. But in going through all the cards, and remember these cards were shuffled, I have managed to memorise the order of all the cards now, so if you could tell me your card, I do think I'd be able to tell you its exact position. What was the card you selected? 6 of diamonds? I'm pretty sure that was the 8th card. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th card. Is there any way that 8th card could be the 6 of diamonds? So that was the trick, and I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did and you'd like to learn it, then this is the tutorial. It's really easy to perform, and there's lots of ways you can vary it to suit your own taste. It is important though that you do have a complete deck of 52 cards. The main trick to the trick are key cards, and specifically you need to remember the top 2 cards. So you can make this trick totally impromptu with no setup by giving the cards straight to a spectator to shuffle. And then once they've shuffled the cards to their heart's content and handed them back, you can spread the cards face up on the table to show them what a good job they've done, while glancing at and remembering the top 2 cards. And then you can begin the trick. Alternatively, you can set up 2 known cards at the top of the pack before we begin. Now, any 2 cards will do, but if we're going to set up 2 cards, we might as well make them 2 cards that are easy to remember. So these 2 black 3s here will work well. So now they are set up on top, we could go straight into the trick at this point, or as I did in the performance, we could do a false shuffle, keeping these two cards in place. And probably the easiest way to do that is to do a face-up overhand shuffle. So if you're doing a one-hand shuffle, to keep one card at the bottom in place, we can just apply some pressure to the bottom of the pack. But we want to keep two cards in place. Normally when we overhand shuffle, these three fingers are on the bottom of the deck. But if we push the deck slightly further in and curl these fingers around the bottom side, we can keep in place a small packet of cards like this, and so keep our two cards at the bottom. This is quite nice as well, because the spectators can see all the cards are different and seemingly being well mixed. But once we turn the pack back over, our two key cards are where we want them, on top. Now, in a second, as the magician, you're going to turn away. So it's really important to make sure that your spectator understands how you want them to deal the cards into piles, as if dealing hands in a card game. So the top card to pile 1, next card to pile 2, and so on, up to however many piles they choose. Then back to pile 1, pile 2, and so on. And they can choose to deal 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 piles of cards. So once your back is turned, they can begin. And let's say they choose to deal 8 piles on this occasion. So they deal the cards like this into 8 piles. Of course, depending on how many piles of cards they choose, there might not be an even number of cards in each pile, but that's fine. They just continue all the way through the pack until all the cards are dealt. And once that's done, you ask them to pick up the final pile, the last pile that they dealt, and they can mix the cards in this pile as well. And once they've done that, you ask them to look at and remember the bottom card, whatever that is. So in this case, they would be remembering the King of Hearts. Now you need them to collect all the piles once they've remembered that card, and you ask them to place that pile on the previous pile and pick those cards up, then pick that pile up, put it on the previous pile, and so on until they've picked all the piles up. Again, of course, you've no idea how many piles they're picking up, but that's the order that they need to pick them up. And finally, you ask them to cut the cards somewhere near the middle and complete the cut. Now, they can actually cut the cards anywhere they like, but if they don't cut near the middle, you might find that your key cards and their selected card wrap round the card, so it's easy. If they cut in the middle, it always works out really nicely. Now at this point, you turn back around and take the cards, and with the cards to yourself so the spectator can't see, you are effectively looking for their card. But what you're actually doing is looking for your two key cards. So with the cards facing you, and with the cards face up like this, so starting from the bottom of the pack effectively, you start looking for your first key card. In our case, we've got 2 black 3s, so it's really easy. We don't even need to remember what the suits are. It's the 2 black 3s. There's their chosen card, the King of Hearts, but of course we've got no idea of this. So we carry on until we get to our first key card. There it is there. So now we're going to count the cards in between this card and the next card. So we don't count the 3. From the 3, we start counting from the next card. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's our second key card. So we've got 6 cards in between our 2 key cards. And that number 6 in this case is the only information we need now to be able to find our spectator's card. So this isn't how I did it in the performance, but you can finish this card trick very directly now if you like. So knowing that we've got this number 6, if we go back to the first key card from the face, so that's here, if we count back 6 cards from the first key card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we should find the spectator's chosen card, and we could reveal that right now. Very direct. As you saw in my performance though, I prefer to end this trick in a different way, by revealing the position of the spectator's card. So for that, you again look through the cards just as before, and we're looking for our first key card. Now once we find it, lift off all the cards above and place those cards on the table. Exactly as before, we're then going to count the cards between the 2 key cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is the only number we now need to remember. We'll then continue as if we're still looking for the card, and we can just place additional cards down onto the ones on the table now as we go. And once we get to the end, we then say how we couldn't find the card, but now we've seen all the cards, we think we can locate the position of any card. So ask them to identify what their card was. In this case, of course, it's going to be the King of Hearts, and we can say we're pretty sure the King of Hearts was at position 6. So we can then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and show that that was indeed the King of Hearts, their selected card. So that was the trick, and as you can see, there's a few ways you can start it so that you know those 2 key cards on top of the pack, and there's also a few different ways that you can end the trick for the final revelation. Well, that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give the video a like. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.